The letter arrived on an ordinary morning. No warning. No phone call.
No explanation.
Just a formal notice from the HOA stating that I had violated a rule and was being fined several $100s. At first, I assumed it was a clerical error. HOAs make mistakes all the time. A wrong address, a misread rule, a mix-up between units. But as I kept reading, that explanation stopped making sense. According to the notice, I was responsible for maintaining a specific exterior structure located near my home. The wording was confident, final, as if the matter had already been decided. The problem was simple and impossible to ignore. That structure did not belong to me. I live in a quiet neighborhood governed by an HOA. Nothing upscale. Nothing dramatic. Rows of similar houses, trimmed lawns, predictable routines. For the most part, the HOA stays invisible. They collect dues. They send occasional emails. They only become noticeable when something goes wrong. That letter was the moment everything changed. The envelope looked official in every way. Legal formatting. Section numbers. Bolded deadlines. The kind of document designed to create urgency and compliance before you even have time to think. Inside, the violation notice was carefully structured. Photos of the structure. Highlighted clauses from the rules. A clear timeline. If the issue was not corrected by the stated date, the fine would increase weekly. I read the letter again. Then again. Because the structure they were referencing was part of the common area. It always had been. It wasn't attached to my unit. It wasn't listed anywhere in my deed. It wasn't something I had ever maintained or modified. In fact, it was something the HOA itself had worked on in the past. That's when confusion turned into concern. I decided to respond calmly. I wrote an email to the HOA board explaining the situation in neutral terms.
No accusations. No emotion.
I attached the closing documents from when I purchased the home. I included the official property map showing lot boundaries. Everything clearly showed that the structure was not part of my property. The response arrived the next day. It was short. They stated that because the structure was adjacent to my unit, responsibility fell on me. No reference to the documents.
No explanation.
Just a conclusion. At that point, I still believed the issue could be resolved with a conversation. A week later, another letter arrived. The fine had increased. Now there were additional charges listed. Administrative fees. Processing costs. The language was more severe. Mentions of continued non-compliance. References to possible further action. I called the HOA management company directly. After being transferred twice, someone finally spoke to me. I explained everything again. The response was almost rehearsed. They said the board had already reviewed the matter. The decision was final. There would be no hearing, no discussion, no opportunity to present additional evidence. That was the moment I realized what was happening. Most people would pay at this stage, not because they believe the fine is justified, but because the system is designed to weigh you down. HOAs rely on exhaustion. Instead of paying, I started reading. I pulled out the governing documents that almost no homeowners ever open. The CC and RS. The bylaws. Page after page of dense language. And then I found it. One sentence, buried deep in the documents, written in plain terms. It stated that all common area structures are maintained by the association.
No exceptions.
No conditional language.
No ambiguity.
The structure I was fined for was explicitly defined as common area. The HOA had fined me for something they were legally responsible for. I sent another email. This time, I didn't explain. I quoted. I referenced the exact section, the exact wording, and I requested that the fine be removed immediately. Days passed. No response. That silence was intentional. Then finally, a short message arrived. They said they would review the matter. That phrase sounds harmless, but it carries weight. It usually means they are deciding whether continuing enforcement is worth the resistance. What most homeowners never realize is that HOA enforcement often operates on assumption, not law. If no one challenges a fine, it becomes reality. In my case, the board assumed I would eventually comply. 2 weeks later, a final letter arrived. The fine had been removed. All charges were reversed.
No explanation. No apology.
No acknowledgement of error. Just a single sentence stating that the issue had been resolved. That was it. This situation was never really about money. It was about authority. HOAs make mistakes, sometimes serious ones. And if those mistakes are never challenged, they quietly become policy. Often, the difference between an illegal fine and a permanent one is very small. Sometimes, it's just whether someone took the time to read the documents.